This is residency number 4, Constellation training class. This is January 29th and January 30th, and it is the afternoon session.
Of the first day.
Of the first day.
Okay. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on this, but I do want to give people an opportunity. If there's anything about that wacky doodle exercise we did that we anyone needs to share, or ask something technical, something facilitatory about it, or wants to share at a personal level.
It was just hectic, but it was good because Dinka was able to participate. But
right,
it was just hectic. But
that's
you know, it is what it is in a way because of this class, what we're trying to accomplish.
Well, and it's actually really good learning, because you notice every time I came over, I presuppose this is fine. We can work with this. Yeah. Like I could feel like I'd be over here for a while, and then I'd feel you guys all gajangled, and I'd be like, "This is fine." It is doable. There are interesting technical things you have to compensate for. There's no doubt. And thank you for being willing and able to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And in the end, even around the jangledly parts, my hope is and sense was that you all got 3 good constellation movements out of it. Yeah.
I think it was just, it was really hard to hear. So then we were shouting, and then we were shouting, so that got louder. And then it just felt a little bit like, it was loud.
It was loud.
Yeah. And we're not likely to do anything like that again. This is why, I mean, this was the one exception. I mean, for instance, I could have kept the same schedule and have someone facilitate for her and have her facilitate for someone else. And this has been done. It's not that it's impossible. I want you to know it is possible to do these things. But I felt like it was maybe a little heavier lifting than you guys would be ready for. And I was about ready to like put this somewhere else. And then I thought, I think they can handle this. But I don't think there's any more exercises. Although some of the group we'll see group exercises. They might be in the afternoon. Dinka has to lead one at some point. She says she wants to. So
I will say though that I felt like in each of the 3, we really needed you to come in when you did, like, which kind of to me was also like a reminder of how much there is to like learn about this process, which was, it was good, but it was also kind of like, oh, I really don't know what we should be doing now, which was interesting because I don't think that's happened so much in the exercises, but this was a different exercise. This was much more in depth.
Yeah.
So it was a really, it was learning. It was kind of like a good, okay.
There is a way to kind of be in a constellation and step, even one that's about you or you're heavily in, and step out and see it. But that's difficult. It's difficult. And I think I've shared this story with you of many moons ago. It was before it was Rudramandir. It was this place called Tara's Temple, and I only had one client that night, and I thought, okay, I'll make use of this for me. And I set up a constellation around me and my brother. And the first half was great. Got a really good sense of the structure of it. That MRI part. And then at the moment I started trying to try interventions and adjustments and reorderings, and the representatives all started getting really cranky with me. And after about 10 minutes, what I realized was, as much as I'm trying to be objective here, my agenda for how I want this to be is still coming through. And that's why they're getting cranky, is that they're not getting clean facilitating, right? Like they're trying to say, no, it needs to be over here. And I'd be like, well, just try over here. And usually trying things is fine. But when it's from my blind spot, it's the system is going to. So anyway, that was like, excellent learning. Excellent learning. Trying to do my own resolutions is, and I've done small ones by myself, and that's gone okay. But yes, it's completely understandable that, and I did expect to have to go back and forth at that point once you identified it,
Okay.
because that's been my experience in the past, by and large, is that groups have not been able to find their own resolutions. They can usually find the interruption and maybe even really get a sense of the pattern of the interruption, but they can't. They have a harder time.
I thought it was a good experience just noticing how easy it was to feel the interruption, like how obvious. And like the one that I was doing for Dinka where, I step in one, I feel the thing, I step in the other, I feel it even more intensely. I step in the third and I knew this is the entanglement, that was the real thing. Like to even feel
interesting.
it felt most intense in the third one, which was the entangled one. So it was really good learning for me to feel how an entanglement can feel even more extreme than the generation that it was real in.
Wow, that's a fascinating observation. That's a Knowing Field article. That's a really good observation.
I'm hearing a little voice in my head about, because it feels important qualifying the extreme.
Yes.
That, so generation one, it's like, oh, there's grief. Generation two, it was like, oh, my heart is breaking, grief. Generation three, it was overwhelming, but it didn't even have I couldn't even have told you what it was. It was just like painful.
Secondary emotion.
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a useful question.
Yeah, it might be. I was asking myself, like, oh, is it second? I didn't
because the thing about loyalty is that it is not okay if there's a resolution.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because then I get disloyal.
This is before we even tried a resolution. Like the second I stepped in, I knew, oh, it's even worse here, but this isn't where it happened. Like I was surprised that how did I know that? I think it's a good question for me to ponder as we watch all these other constellations is how do we recognize the emotional field of an entanglement as opposed to the emotional field of
the trauma?
Well, so I just read this one again last night, the reaching out one, and she talks
Frankel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she talks about the inner reach one. But she talks about how it's a learned, like when it's an entanglement, that's when it is secondary because it's not yours because you've taken on someone else's. Whereas the first person, it was theirs. So it is primary, right? Isn't that kind of what you're saying? Like my heart is breaking, which is maybe more primary. And then it gets to the entanglement, the next person, and then it's like secondary and insane.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I got from this.
I was thinking secondary in the sense of like I didn't have any story about it. I didn't have any.
Well, in that sense as well, but yeah.
But it was more unbearable.
But also, again, because it's a function of loyalty.
Yeah.
It's a violation to let it stop.
Yeah, which is maybe why.
Which is secondary.
Unbearable. Like in the generation where it seemed real. You know how when something's really sad, but it's like life is richer somehow because you're in the, like it's true. And this one, it was like it was sad but stuck and never going anywhere. And
well, and that is what constellations do, right? Client comes with depression or whatever it is, and then we find the event, and it feels better to everybody to be present to the actual thing that happened because it's got concreteness. It's a thing worthy of being honored and respected and mourned or whatever. There's an odd way in which it's good to have it come into your presence. That funny moment where like the perpetrator finally comes into the constellation and everyone says, so glad you're here, finally, the thing is here. It's counterintuitive. So anyway, I think and you've just really felt it in your body, which is nice because we're not usually doing the cross-generational comparison. That's really great.
I'm just going to check one thing you said. You said loyalty through the violation is how we are continue to be loyal to our family line. Right?
To bring it to a close is perceived as disloyalty.
Got it.
It isn't. But it's perceived as disloyalty.
Got it.
until, we can find some other way to, include, honor it. And then we're like, oh, I can let that one go.
Cool.
Or offering up an alternative. There's a better way to be loyal. How about that one?
Mm-hmm. So something, when you opened this kind of topic, and you were talking about your presuppositions of it's okay, when you were going back and forth. So I guess I want to talk a little bit more about that. The presuppositions of the facilitator.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or
that's called facilitator stance. And we've been talking about that a fair bit along the way. Which is why, lots of reasons, but one reason why you need to do your own work, right? Your own healing work. But what you are presupposing is going to shape the experience. So one I've mentioned a lot is that in certain circles, constellations are presupposed to be very dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You can get caught in people's energy, and then it'll stick with you until unless you're really careful and you make sure you de-roll and blah, 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 blah. And those facilitators are surrounded with people who are having a lot of consequences due to representing. Yeah. Or now that's a more conscious presupposition. It's just a good example of a conscious one. The more important ones are the unconscious presuppositions, like I'm not a reliable person. Then you're gonna have trouble as a facilitator. Or everything's okay until we get to strong negative emotions. Right? That'll either keep your constellations really shallow, or you're going to keep having explosions. One or the other. Right? So you just want, and there's nothing, I don't want you to go, oh God, I can't facilitate then because I have these things. No. I mean, I had one of those blow up on me on Thursday. I should probably talk about that at some point. I don't know if I want to do that right now, though. The work you do is going to keep being a mirror for you, right? So if you go, all of my constellations seem to have kind of a superficial quality to them. We're just not, they're fine. We do good work, but we kind of never really, you might say what inside of you is saying we mustn't go there. It's too dangerous to go there. What am I being disloyal to? Oh, that's right. My mother always said we can't have bad feelings in this family, or whatever. Yeah. The big sort of frame for facilitator stance, you all already have. Anyone gonna come to you? It's a different article.
Oh, what's the question? Orders of helping?
Orders of helping. That's all stance stuff.
Yeah.
Right? All that stuff around, we only give what we have to give. We don't try to take the parent's place. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the main, I think the reason why he came up with that is he began to notice the ways facilitators got themselves in trouble, right? And it mostly, we're helping. So what is proper helping and what is improper helping, right? And he saw the 5 or 6 main sort of patterns that he would see people doing disordered helping from. Yeah, so that's just an article that's worthy of review every once in a while. It's just a really, really solid resource. Because if you're like, it could be anything. Well, no, someone's written an article that gets the main stuff. And if you can be in good relationship with it, then it'll, you can even be in the middle of an interaction and realize, oh gosh, I've just been I mean, you guys have probably seen this where I've tossed something out and then I say, oops, I just disrespected mom. I'm taking that back. Right? So it gives you a frame. It's not about how you'll have a perfect stance. That's ridiculous. Yeah. But one that tends to create an environment of that friendliness. So from my own personal experience, I know that doing this work online is possible and workable and safe and doable, even though I can tell Grace and Kelly are starting to get a little rattled over there. So I don't say, there, really, it's okay. Really, it's okay. I just come in and start doing my facilitation work without I'm really sorry how horrible that is. Just like, we're fine. You guys are okay. We can do Constellation work. It took me like a minute or two to kind of get it restabilized, move the camera, move the, okay. That's a very useful thing to do when a big emotional intensity arises. This is why it's kind of important to be able to know how to be okay in the presence of those things, because the herd does get startled naturally. It's just natural stuff, right? So just to go, well, I mean, this is leadership 101, what do they call it? Non-anxious leadership, right? Everyone looks around. Where's the leader? The leader's okay. We're okay. And it is okay to fake a little bit of that. It really is. It's fine to fake a little bit of that. It is useful to the group as long as you're not over asserting or pretending. I mean, I was pulling on every resource in the world on Thursday night, and as soon as the clients finally left, I burst into tears. And I cried big ones for about an hour afterwards. And then I emailed before I went to bed, Dan, 911, good night. And then I had my mentor who helped me out, right? And I knew I had all that. So that night I'm already not thinking it, but knowing, I've got support. This sucks. I'm dying. I'm probably going to die. The whole ship's going to down, and no one's going to survive. I can talk to Dan in a few days. And I'm not thinking that, but some part of my soul is knowing it. So part of this then that's coming through in this is to make sure you're supported. All that stuff I've been talking about at the level of ancestral and systemic support, and bringing in that support when you facilitate. Remember the cards behind you and the cards behind the client, but also concrete, regular kinds of support like each other. So you have a train wreck with a client, and you can call up Serena and go, I need some processing. And she can go, tell me what happened. Yeah. Anyway, so that was a long disquisition on it, but it's it's better actually to bring it up explicitly now rather than in the beginning, because now you basically have this now. I've been teaching it all along, but now you can have a sense of like,
Yeah. Just an organizational question. Yeah. Are we still planning on the dinner tonight? Because I just need to, okay, good. Because otherwise, I could stay on a block doors.
I mean, unless there's some reason to change that. I mean, Judith, I don't know what Judith is up to. And Judith has got a ride with Kelly.
But I think I'm fine. I mean, I'm really tired right now, but I'm gonna have some more soup.
Well, let me just throw this out there. Would we be able to move it to tomorrow night?
My understanding is that there were no other options other than Thursday when we were all done.
It's fine. That's
Okay.
I mean, Saturday was out,
Yeah.
Sunday was
Sunday's
out, so tomorrow
Yeah.
night will
Yeah,
be.
if I'm crashing
Although
and
my flight's
burning,
at 10. What's your flight?
I can always jump in an Uber.
Okay.
if I need to.
I should be 20 hours, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
And who had an obligation tomorrow night? You did. Okay, so there we go.
It's
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah, I'd rather
So
be home
what
for
I'm going to
Shabbos.
recommend to you, because when we start doing constellations, I really don't recommend that Judith represent. Number one, it just takes a little bit of work. I mean, it's also life-giving, but she doesn't have much in the way of reserves. But also, I love you, but you're not likely to be a great representative. Just because she's now, her body, she put out a lot in the morning, and she's now in self-care. And that's
I'm really tired.
appropriately has priority over being in service to any of you guys. So, so you might just want to like have a nap
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
during the constellations. Okay, other comments or thoughts about the, and it's a good format, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's a very powerful format. And to be able to represent all of that with only 3 people and to go that deeply with almost no story. Like you don't need to interview anyone, right? And it's going to be relevant to everybody. We've all got fathers and mothers. I did want to say one thing about that. I remember now, which is that this is just to say fragments of this sort of thing can show up in an ordinary constellation. So the interruption patterns that you all found in your constellations, this stuff is going to show up in ordinary constellations, right? The mothers who could not have the lives they wanted because they're limited by culture, yeah? The grief of the loss of the men in war, all these, the grief of the men who could not protect the children, right? We've got all of this here. This is going to show up. These archetypal things between men and women are often the thing you're dealing with. So you have the crazy, dangerous mother who you want to have the client heal a relationship with, but the movement is not going to be between them and the mother. It's going to be some other thing back there, and it can take this kind of form. And then the mother can pop into more congruent presence, yeah? So very frequently, there's a way in which various versions of this can show up in a slightly ritual way in the middle of a regular constellation. So I can see a point where I'm going, oh, let's bring in the Divine Mother or the Divine Father or both, right? And, have the fathers say to the mothers, I am sorry I failed at protecting you. We gave everything we could, but we still lost, which was happening over here. Yeah. And then the whole system feels better, just like you did. Yeah.
What is the difference if you would bring in the Divine Father to the healthy ancestor? Would you versus?
It's a very much, and it depends.
Oh.
So there's a way in which after a certain set of generations, everything gets fuzzy and loses its specificity, just because we don't have the names and the places and the dates and right? It only goes so far back. And I think you've seen examples of things arising in constellations that we didn't know. Well, somewhere back there seems to have been, a flood that came through the town and everybody died. And we don't know if that's literally true, but it's the meaning that the more recent people are dealing with. The way it will often show up is if you have something like clients dealing with a lot of guilt. Let's just say that. A lot of ridiculous, unuseful, not earned guilt. And you look at their family system and it's like, yeah, it makes sense locally, but the father was guilty and their father was guilty and their father, what? And it's, the way I put it is it's turtles all the way down. Like, do we go back to Adam and Eve? Like what, we don't have time, right? So what you will bring in, you might bring in a card or just a hand on the shoulder for something like the original guilty one. And you don't know how far back it is. You may have a guess on which side. You use the language that's been used in your interview and interactions, or that the representatives have been using. And then this can end up having kind of an archetypal feel to it. This is often the way it will show up. Sometimes it's a spontaneously recruited, like someone's just looking at the floor, we bring in someone for that, and it's got an archetypal, like it's the original, and you ask, how are you doing down there? And they say, there are a lot of us and we all died and it was really sudden. Okay, so the original, and you don't need to bring this in, but this is what you have, the original suddenly dead ones.
Which are then followed by the original guilty one?
Oh no, this is a separate constellation.
Oh.
I'm just giving it another example.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how these sort of more archetypal elements can start to arise, mostly because we've gotten past recorded history, which is, for most families, is 3 generations tops, right? Some it's only 1, right? And you just start working with it as it shows up. My preference always is, if you can deal with the concrete, deal with the concrete, right? This aborted baby, that guy who went off to war and never came back, that civil war, right? There's a real power in that, and there's a way in which we can go to these archetypal elements as a bit of a bypass, in a sense, collaborating with the system to not see something, yeah? But this stuff also ends up being extremely relevant and very important, and very frequently you're doing both. So concretely, the grandfather who molested his daughter and the masculine wound that is relevant to how distorted his fathering was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of so when you see it, it's like on the masculine lineage, then you rather bring up the divine.
You might.
Father. Yeah. And these that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do want to make a little bit of a distinction. It's not a huge one, but it is important from time to time, whether you do mother-father, because this is about having children, right? Versus feminine masculine. And this is gray area, but sometimes you're really dealing with the issue of gender, and sometimes you're really dealing with the issue of parenting. Okay. Today was very concrete. We were dealing with lineage, with parenting. And so the archetype is the original mother-father. Sometimes it really is, and one of them dovetailed, like yours in particular, Kelly, became about womanhood at a certain level, really about womanhood. So sometimes what we're setting up is the archetypal original female or woman or feminine or masculine, right? When the issue is less about my mother and father and more about my relationship to my gender and how it is to be a woman in the world and how it is to be a man in the world. And then the final caveat about this, when you're in this space in particular, just leave an open space for fluidity. Because we're in a binary here, right? And we want to be very careful about not excluding the people in the room who don't see or experience themselves that way and fall into the original Constellation error around if someone's kind of a masculine woman or a feminine man, how do we, it's just, okay. So just remember to keep a space in your heart. If the person's, very frequently when I'm dealing with men who are trying to achieve something in the world, but they can't, it's because they're not wanting to become the violent male, and they've closed off all their masculine power out of fear of becoming that. So it really is about recovering manhood, recovering masculinity. And there are equivalent ones for women, of course. So don't be afraid of this. This can be very powerful and very important. I just don't want us to fall into excluding. We're all on a spectrum, right? And in fact, I could do a constellation for all of you in the room to recover your inner masculinity, right? In a way that would probably be really important as well. Yeah, right? Someone was going to say something.
Yeah, it's about the archetypal qualities, I guess. Because, I'm going back again to it, like the root. That's what it seems like to me, right? The archetype is like the root of that thing.
I don't know. The way I think about it is from the Jungian point of view, which is the collective unconscious.
Okay.
Or the Platonic ideal kind of thing. But I don't worry about it too much. The constellation will reflect if you're onto something honest or not. Yeah. I just use the language of archetypal because it's people kind of have some shared vocabulary about this sort of stuff. Like I said, she gets recruited when I'm behind myself with people in here all the time. She's constantly getting recruited in for the lost feminine or the lost mother, one or the other in the family system. Just some core aspect of being human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what archetype is, right? Core aspects of humanity.
Some people would say it's something that exists also beyond the human. We don't need to get into fights about that sort of thing. I don't know. But yes, it's certainly a core aspect of being human, for sure. So I did want to say a few things about this. So this stuff, be on the lookout. This binary stuff, admittedly binary, is going to arise. Because somewhere in the not too distant future, we're going to figure out how to take two women and a man and make a baby. But for now, every baby in the world needed a mother and a father to be here. And that's just part of biology. And that's why we have this particular binary. Even when, we have two moms raising a kid and that sort of thing. Yeah. Just the biology of life, of being here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Who's ready, Grace or Anna?
I'm about ready, but I don't mind. Do you have a preference?
Do you want to do? Yeah.
Scissors, papers, rocks.
Do you want to do rock, paper, scissors?
Papers like this?
Yeah.
Rock and
Yeah.
Okay.
Rochambeau.
What do you say?
You go 1, 2, 3, and then you do 1.
Oh! This is going to be awesome.
How many rounds can they go?
Yeah.
So basically saying, I don't care.
One, two, three, then do it.
Say it out loud.
1, 2, 3.
No,
Oh.
it's basically on the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, sorry.
You did it right the first time.
Okay, this time I will.
Okay.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4.
You win.
What does it mean?
Emma's like, I win, so I have to go. I get to go second.
No.
Do you have a preference?
Um,
I think it was for who goes first, but
Okay.
if
then I
you
do it.
but if you have a preference, okay. So we're gonna move our little
Anybody-
altar. Yeah, just lean over the top. Just hold up the top.
There we go. Oh, I
I think the shell is rolling all over.
No, allergic.
Colors
Against
get
that.
the shape.
Oh, do we put it on ourselves? That's
Whatever.
better.
Okay. So Anna and Kelly.
Leslie, do you mind a little lavender mist?
I do a little bit, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Not for me today.
no.
I made the mistake when I was not feeling well to put a little bit of essential oils into my bath, and it ended up feeling chemically or something, which is not usually my experience. So I would like not so much of that. Thank you. Lavender is a very nice smell.
Thanks, Charlie. That's good, man. I would really like to.
I love your hat, Judith. You make me think you're like a sailor or something.
I'll depend how you
A watch cap.
from the moon.
Long Foreman.
Oh. And it's.
So again, the order of operations is reach out to me and let me know if there's something you want in the beginning from me. And then number 2, take care of yourself and ground yourself and start the group any way you want, and then engage. And I'm just saying that for everybody, because so often people sit down and they think they have to get right to it. And then turn to your client.
How many of us are wearing our socks?
She put a resource in her back pocket.
Nice, nice. That's a good start.
At the end, you have to tell us what it is.
Yeah, because before I was thinking that would be the perfect time to and finish the day when you were stopping. I thought, yeah, it would be so nice if you would have so many days that was the end of the day. But now I'm starting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then before, so perfect world, we would be done at 4:30.
How is it 3:50?
4:30, 1 hour.
Lunch went a little long, and then we've been chatting. So perfect world, drop dead is 4:45. Okay.
Good.
So anything you want from me first, or don't want from me?
I think I will ask you during the constellation. Is it okay?
Yeah,
if I want
of course.
something, because yeah, maybe I want to discuss with you whom I will set up as a rep, or whatever.
And
Okay,
I'm going to try and have the discipline of, instead of giving you my ideas and stuff like that, of saying, what do you think?
Okay.
That kind of thing. And that's all right to turn to me, to let me, it's still supportive to have someone do that if you're feeling like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
The other thing, just for everybody, including especially the clients, which is that I am going to only interfere if I feel like someone's like, I'm the safety net, okay? Which means I'm just gonna ask you really all to be like tough clients and be okay with a certain amount of wandering in the weeds, okay? Just so that this is your last chance with me here. And I really wanna give you a real chance and not be rescuing facilitators. I want you to find your own ways as facilitators. But that might mean from time to time, either being a little tough about it or turning to your facilitator and just saying really honestly, thank you, I see you're learning and this is hard for me right now, which is cool, right? Yeah. But I'm gonna really just be really like a real 911 safety net person here, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
good. So if we were in another room at another time and we wouldn't know each other, then I would ask you to say your name and also to say the name of your parents, because I would like your ancestors, to invite your ancestors in and with your voice in the room. I think that would be a really nice thing to do. But since we are here and our voice was heard in the room, I think we don't need to do that. Then I also would say, important, what we are talking about or what is said in this room will stay in the room. I would ask if everybody can be okay, not say, able to do that. And also, what I'm doing now is I'm thanking you for all your support and your non-judgmental compassion. Nice. I have something else. And then I would ask you to pay attention to your body, your feelings, and in particular to your instinctive social reactions to the other reps, so that you really come and try to forget about what's going on or what it has to be or how it should be, then really feel into your body, what your body says, and just let go. Let go of your story and let go of the story. And if you could try to make your comments short and restrictive.
That's awesome. I'm so happy right now.
Good. Thank you very much. I feel I still have to say that my name is Anna. Maybe everybody says their name.
My name is Kelly.
It's okay if you want people to say a couple of ancestors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember people's. I don't remember.
Okay, maybe I start then.
Yeah.
My name is Anna, and my mom's name is Ursula Kleffner, and my dad is Karl Maria Antonio Söller.
My name is Kelly, and I am the daughter of Anthony and Patricia, and the granddaughter of Adriana, Pasquale, Marguerite, and George.
My name is Judith. I'm the daughter of Melvin and Betty, and the granddaughter of Arthur and Anna, and Bessie and Sam.
I'm Serena. I'm the daughter of Layla and David.
I'm Grace. I'm the daughter of Frank and Joy, and the granddaughter of Mary and Joseph, and Tony and Madeline.
And I'm Leslie, and my mother's name is Helen Furman Nips, and my father's name is John William Nips.
Thank you. Okay. That's good. Kelly, what can I do for you?
So this might be too broad, but I think I just kind of want to think about like I have a compulsive eating pattern, and I have been working on it a long time, but I am not doing well with it. And I was thinking of, is there a way to find a little light into how to lessen the compulsion? Not like, because I always look for magic bullets, how to fix it, but just maybe how to start working on it so that I have a little bit of success every once in a while instead of feeling like there's no hope at changing the compulsion of eating.
Can you say a little bit about what that means for you? How does it feel when you have a compulsion eating?
Like nothing is more important than finding the thing that I can put in my mouth that's just going to make everything else go away, or just calm and numb things out. And it, you know, a lot of it is like negative emotions. I like kind of cover them up, but even sometimes it's like when I'm really happy, I can overeat too. It's like there's just a constant desire to think about food and make myself feel better with it, even though ultimately it doesn't make me feel better. I can't get beyond the now of eating to the longer term. This is going to make me feel worse all overall rather than better. It's like I can't get out of the now. If that.
What happens shortly before you get the feeling that you have to eat?
I'll get upset about something. I'll start thinking negatively about myself or anything. I'll feel judged or like I failed at something. I'll feel relief that I'm out of a difficult situation. Maybe, you know, like if I've been spending time with a lot of people, like my family, when if I'm around groups of people who are really intense, and then I'm like, and I'm spending time with those people because I should be, but it's also because I you know, they're my family or my friends and I want to, but then I'm always like, oh, okay, I can be alone and just like feed the beast. I don't know, like be quiet and just calm things down a little. I probably associate it much more with being frustrated or angry than other emotions. Like at work, if I'm like, I hate this job or I hate this thing or this one didn't go well, I'll be like, okay, where's the chocolate? You know. Or if there's no chocolate, just I need something to start chewing on.
So what does the food do in that moment?
It calms me down. It makes things bearable in some way. I don't know. I feel like it quiets my brain down somehow.
And what happens when your brain is quiet down?
There's just some sort of relief there. It's like relief from I'm not sure. Relief from
so what happens?
The emotions, maybe. Like
what happens when the relief is there? How does it make you feel?
Safe, maybe. A little safe.
What happens if you feel safe?
What happens if I feel safe? Like there's nobody looking at me, and it's also a little lonely. Like that's what I think where I'm feeling the safety is just that there's nobody like observing me or like judging me. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? I'm not sure what safety feels like maybe that's part of the numbness. I don't know. It's like maybe part of the numbness that I get out of the eating.
I'm wondering, I think what I would set up right now would be Kelly and food, with the option that the food would maybe morph into something else.
So let me just ask you one question. That sounds fine. That sounds fine. Looking at her tree, do you have a hypothesis? Now, even if you have a hypothesis, you don't have to do anything different. That's just fine. Or do you need more information to have a hypothesis? Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
we
you
talked.
want.
Yeah, we talked before
Oh,
about
okay.
that, and
Excellent.
Ich meine, before, ich meine, there are people who were having not a lot of food, but I'm also kind of feeling more. I kind of just want to see what happens.
Okay.
And I don't have a hypothesis.
And you don't what? I'm sorry?
I don't have a
Hypothesis. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Is it okay?
Yeah. One thing I just want to say, this is kind of for everybody. When you turn to me, some of your clients are going to be cool with that. Some of your clients are going to feel a little abandoned. So just always, be for yourself. Just if you were my client right now and Leslie was over here, I might just go, I'm just going to talk to Leslie for a second and then go over here. Just to make, especially as the constellation gets more intense, just make sure you're keeping rapport with the clients.
It is this, or also, it would be in, but you're okay with that?
Of course, absolutely.
So for me, it would be in Kelly and food, or Kelly and her mom.
They're both, I have no judgments. Go with your first impulse.
Okay. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see.
Trust yourself.
Do you want me to pick in place?
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a mommy by the toe.
Can I give you one suggestion? Yes. What might be fun for you? Do it blind.
Okay, that's.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yes.
And then you're guessing for a moment. Yeah. So here you go.
Also blind for.
Yes,
for
have one.
well?
Well, you'll know what you've written on the cards,
So you won't know who.
but you won't know who has what. So that actually the information is wonderfully cleaner.
Yeah.
One Kelly, one food.
Interesting.
And then the dynamic can come through a little bit more cleanly, and you only have to hold it for, to the first round of reporting.
I kind of like it to, and then we can see if
Exactly.
we will just know it, and they won't know it. That however we are handling.
Yeah. So it's just an idea for people to remember that that's a tool. The other thing I want to say, because Judith is out for the count, we don't have Dinka. You can choose me as well as a representative, and I just will really sit on myself. I'll try to be a good representative. Facilitate from the representative's chair. This is like a perfect situation to be blind.
You got
I
picked.
actually was thinking yesterday.
Out of all the people in this room, I picked you.
I never get picked for constellations.
And I think for now, I would say, Grace, you are number 1.
Okay.
And Serena, you're number 2.
That's funny to me.
How do you feel, Grace? Something comes.
I love you, I love you, I love you.
I'm not sure.
I feel a bit aggressive in my love.
Yeah, and I was going like this.
How do you feel in your body? How does your body feel?
A lot of energy in my heart, almost like I want to go on my toes and sort of almost like I'm falling forward towards number 2.
What about you, number 2?
Well, I keep thinking like I'm poop, so.
Do you know that saying in English?
No.
Oh.
She doesn't know the reference.
Oh.
Explain to her.
Yeah, like, are you going number 1 or number 2? And number 1 is pee, and number
Oh, okay. Now I
didn't even get it. I didn't get it.
Okay. So let me clarify
Yeah,
that.
yeah, good that we clarified. Yeah. Okay. So that, and then this is a lot, and so then I want to kind of move over here. Then I'm.
You want to go?
I feel like I'm too close. Okay. It's hard to look at you, but I can. But I think it's easier not to.
I just want to ask the room, how's the temperature? I plugged in one of them. Do we need to plug the other one in for a little bit? No? Okay.
I'm glad you plugged that one in.
I feel kind of looked at, like just like, so it's easier just to look down, so I don't have to see everybody watching. Yeah. So with you. Uncomfortable urge to run.
Urge to run away or
sink into the floor.
Okay, because you are looked at.
Done.
Is it because you don't want to be looked at?
It's overwhelming. It's like
What is the it?
the sensations. Maybe the thoughts too. That's better now that we said that.
Number 1, how do you feel? Did anything change for you?
Yeah. I'm not feeling so careening in that direction. I felt a little bit of, not self-righteous, like control when there was all the almost hysterical giggling. I was thinking, she's losing control, and if I don't join her, like if I just look at her and don't laugh too, then she'll be even more out of control. There was some kind of like, feel powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that we didn't set a real intention before we started the constellation. That I didn't.
So my
No. Oh, well,
yeah, my impression is that Kelly, the first thing out of her mouth was very clear and strong. You may need
Yeah.
to be reminded about it, so feel free to say, Kelly, could you remind me what our
Yeah.
intention is?
I'm looking for a lessening in the compulsion to eat.
Mhm. Okay. A little bit of hope.
Yeah, a little bit of hope. Yeah.
I actually feel a little bit angry as I sit with that power feeling. Maybe it's more like I'm a little bit mad.
Which makes me mad. Yeah. Because I don't want you to have that power over me. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. I think I just don't, I'm uncertain. I don't really know how I feel towards this one. So I'm just kind of like, and now that we said that, I feel less overwhelmed and I can, this new level. But I still don't know what we're doing.
Every time we say what we are, it's the same and then it changes. So I'm noticing now I'm not mad. Now I'm more curious. Suspiciously curious.
Yeah, suspicious. Like I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me still? Yeah. And you seemed very big and now you're getting a little smaller.
And how do you feel about getting smaller? Do you feel that you're getting smaller?
I feel less extreme. I'm more centered. I'm not, yeah, maybe. It doesn't feel like size to me. It feels like extremity. I feel less extreme. More like I'm standing on my own feet. I'm not going to fall forward or no one's going to giggle hysterically. Like everything's just a little more centered.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel to you?
There's still some, I guess, anxiety or something like kind of here. Also, it's a little bright, so I'm kind of squinty.
Mm-hmm. I feel like sitting down, not because I'm tired, but I do feel small.
Okay, do you want to try that?
It's not small. It feels like a submission. Almost like I give up.
It's easier to look at you down there.
I feel pretty exposed.
Or did we just switch again?
I'm so confused.
I think I would like that Kelly and I know who is who.
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Please.
Actually, you just need to look at her.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's a beautiful demonstration of a classic relationship with food and the identification. It's just, I mean, it's just,
Oh, that's
and
what I'm
addictions
keeping-
generally, right? It's mwah, to the field.
I don't feel like being down here anymore. Can I get up?
Let's just ask number 2 how she feels about you being down. Before you get up.
I prefer it mostly because I don't have to squint. Can I
Ah,
turn off
okay.
the light
So-
or something? Is that okay?
Well, we can, I don't think it's the light so much as
That's
the,
all of it. Everything together.
let's start with this and see how this goes.
Well, I like when you smile now.
Yeah, I feel happy now.
That's
to be
better.
with you. It's like, oh, it's been a lot easier.
Okay. That's better. Okay.
It felt really good to be contained like that.
No, I mean, it feels real. I just have no idea what it means. Like,
But how does it look to you?
it's bizarre because I feel like
I don't know if I trust you.
I have no
just-
control over that. I feel like I don't have control over that. That's not what.
I'm like, you're inviting. Like, I want to come over
Everything
there,
she's
but I'm like, I don't know.
feel like
Super weird.
But how do you see the relationship when you look at the relationship right now? Does it?
I don't like it. Like it doesn't. Like nothing about this feels balanced.
Feels like a teeter-totter.
Grace, do you still want to?
Yes.
Don't look as like big and broad and. I don't really know what to do. I guess I'll take a step towards you and see how that feels. That's okay.
This feels like a playmate.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you're just
Playmates.
smiling at me. Like, are we just gonna put like now? What do you think?
What do you think, Grace? Yeah.
It's like I'm not sure if I'm in charge, but I don't know if she's in charge. And she just looks at me and smiles, which makes me think I'm in charge.
When she said playmate, is it okay if we know who's who now? For them?
Ask your facilitator.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Are they supposed to know who they are right now or not? They're blind, right? They're still blind. If the playmate thing makes me think of siblings.
Excuse me.
And the crazy, like the weird, that feels like my brother, but we both had eating things, and the eating thing was a long time, started before he had his crisis. But I don't know.
Serena, you are representing Kelly.
What if I knew? I'm in charge.
Why do you feel you have to be in charge or not? Why is it about the charge?
Well, what else are we gonna do? We're just standing here. Are she gonna play or do something else?
Why do you laugh?
Because she's so impatient, and that's exactly like me. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why can't we get something done? Like, let's just do something.
I do want to play. That's the whole thing.
Okay, let's play.
Say would play. It
Right.
feels like playmates.
All right.
Do you have a sense of what's going on? Do you have an impression?
Like I could do a somersault. Your stomach's doing somersaults?
like Santa Belly Jolly, like like I'm really feeling the movement of that.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay, so you don't have one. Yeah.
Serena, how old are you?
14.
Do you have an age, Grace?
Younger than that. I feel quite young.
I could be younger as I'm laughing.
I want to say 7.
Okay. Are you me?
I don't know. Am I food?
You have been food. Who knows?
You were
who are
handed.
right now.
I was handed food.
So I just want to say something about that. If food's what's on the card, she is food.
Okay.
Now, if food is identified with something or there's a projection onto food, yes, that would be coming through as well. But I really want to just remind everybody to not fall into the trap of the transmutating roles. That will drive you crazy. Okay? So if you're thinking it might represent someone else, you can do the projection separation move or something like that. But it's still food.
Yeah. Okay.
With all of the projections and identifications that go into food.
Did anything happen when you were 14? Was it?
That's about like 12 or 14 was when it really blew up. Like I started, like I would take money from my parents' wallets and like buy like Oreos and stuff after school. And it's when I really gained weight unhealthily, like around 8th, 7th, 8th grade.
Do you have an idea why that happened? Yeah.
I had just not been a happy kid, and my parents didn't really realize it because they were in the middle of their own extreme stuff. I mean, their own problems. So, yeah, I think it was just kind of like that was what was keeping me company. That's who I could turn to.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just gonna go while you guys were chatting. We were gonna go hang out. But yeah.
I just want you to be happy.
Thanks. I think I want that too. Yeah, I want to be happy.
I also feel like I'm working really hard at it.
Making me happy. Do you have to? Work so hard?
That's a lot of work.
But do you have to?
What happens, Serena, if you are stepping a little forward?
I can do that. I like her now. Well, not that much. Wait. See? Okay.
How does it feel if you would say,
Sure. I mean, that's just straight out of the reports of the. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if you would say, you are my companion?
And you can always do that. If it's not quite right, you can fix it, kind of thing.
Do you have anything what would feel right to say? How about
You've been my companion. I can say that.
you are there for me?
You've always
When?
been there for me. You've always been there for me.
You're playmate.
I mean, it is kind of fun. I do like food.
There's something about the fact that she keeps repeating playmate, because I did not have good friends when I was a kid. I was very, like, I got picked on and I was lonely. So it's interesting to me that she keeps saying playmate.
I just have images of like skipping on the playground and playground feel.
Yeah, I never did that.
I knew. What about I always knew how to get you, or how you were.
I always knew you would accept me.
Yes.
Yeah. No matter what.
Mm-hmm. I'm always here.
I thank you for being there for me.
Thank you for being there for me.
I have to learn.
I really needed you. Yeah.
What does it feel to say? Thank you for being there for me.
You were my friend. You were my friend.
Yeah.
But it's time to look for other friends.
Wow. I so needed you. So needed you. Thank you for being there for me. Yeah. I know it was confusing before, but I think I get it now. Yeah. So now I have a little bit more support in my life, but I think I needed to honor you. You saved me. You brought me through some tough times of feeling really alone. And thank you. And now I can use my support and maybe we can play in a different way. You're still cool with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Little subtle nudge.
It's yeah. I think I just got a little bit more in touch with that part of me that really needed you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you did that, I felt the playmate come off.
Mm,
Like, oh, I'm just this.
yeah. And that's so important and awesome. Love you. You're awesome.
I'm still here.
Could you represent
Sure.
a playmate?
And an adult friend? Not a bunny? Double entendres in this Constellation. My first reaction is I want to honor this one too, and this one came first.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there's plenty of room for all of us.
Maybe we can say thank you for being there for me and helping me to survive.
You helped me survive. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You will be always part of my life.
You will. Very soon, actually. You'll always be a part of my life.
Mhm.
I just feel a little different. It's exciting.
Yeah. You feel good too.
Now it's time for me to look for a companion.
Mhm.
We'll visit you often.
Sometimes you'll invite me along.
Sometimes.
Grace, is it okay when you step away a little bit?
Sorry. A little bit of what you were saying in the very beginning about feeling overexposed. I have a very strong sense this one comes first.
Mhm.
And I'm glad to be here as long as I just don't feel like I have a
You're not
some,
there yet.
I'm not there yet. There's something here about that. And
That's
that something felt like exposing, or I almost have more attention on you a little bit than I do on Kelly. And I don't know if that's a useful first step or an entanglement. I don't know. This feels really naked.
But that's okay. It needs time.
I know the feeling. Not quite okay.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Nice in theory.
Mm-hmm.
This feels easier.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows food.
So Leslie is just going to say that I wouldn't make this as a meaning about this person, but the meaning Kelly has about potential friends. This is Kelly's system, not that she's going to invite into her world somebody who has a food problem or something. So just for what it's worth, right? So I'm just going to. Does that make sense?
Feel warm. I like you too.
I almost feel like we have to do the whole constellation all over again. I'm feeling so, like there's a lot here. Feels like there's a lot.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
There's something very effective about identifying food as the companion who was there
Mm-hmm.
and real,
Mm-hmm.
but my thought was also like, okay, it's time for this one to step aside, but I have no idea how to replace it.
Mhm.
And there's also a dark side to food that isn't, I don't think is here in this one. That I don't know. It's like almost like food has two things for me, and like this is one.
I felt it though. That was why I was like, I can't trust you. Like is that what you're saying?
You felt like there's a bad part to her too.
Yeah. I mean, and that was much more in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, I
'Cause I
wanted to
didn't wanna-
control you.
Yeah, and I didn't want to come close at all. And I was trying to go away. And I was like, I don't trust you. I think I can come closer. And then I did. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, wait, see, you're doing it again. Like that
Okay.
thing that.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, I feel both parts of it.
I feel it in here.
Okay.
Wow, I just had this feeling of like, you want to take me on?
Oh, shit.
Facilitator?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm not.
You're permitted to say whatever you want to your facilitator.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
As long as you're nice.
Okay. Well, I'm just not sure that this is helping
Mm-hmm.
clarify things. Like at some point, I was almost like, can we represent like the good and the bad part
Mm-hmm.
separately
Mhm.
somehow?
Yeah, I was thinking about that now.
I don't know.
Okay, shall we try that on? So, Leslie, can you be?
You have to take me out of the other role first.
Okay.
Do you want that
Please
still to
step out
be
of
here?
the-
Or do you want it out of the constellation
No.
completely? Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm good.
Can you be the other part of the food? The part. Mm. What would totally in? Can you
Step out.
Yeah.
So you're a resourceful facilitator.
Is it self-destructive? Does that help?
Can you step in for the other part of that what Grace was representing?
You mean in the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
That part that felt too close and da-da-da.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. What happened to you?
Right before another part of me stepped in, I was feeling the most aggressive and confrontational that I have in this role. And then I got a little confused because this is the part that that Kelly didn't want to be close to. So then I got a little confused. So I think I was accessing after that younger playmate part, and I wanted to get closer to Kelly. But I'm still a little confused about what I am now.
What do you feel? Other part?
So Leslie has some observations about what I think this is, but I'm going to put that aside until you're curious. I'm just going to try and be a clean representative. First I stepped close just so that we could have the like the decloning, and then I wanted to move away. My attention's mostly on Kelly, and I have a pretty strong sense of not being safe for her and aware of that and wanting her to be okay and knowing I can't do that if I stay too close. And then I look at you and sometimes you just feel like you're food. No big deal. You're just food. For better or for worse, you're food. There's also an overlay. You feel very young to me. Like regressed young, not like originally young. Like there's a regressed young, like almost annoying. But I'm pretty aware that I want something good here and I can't bring it. So I'm just keeping some space. That's what I'm observing.
If anything, I harmed him. He wasn't like the source of harm for me.
I wouldn't think that is necessarily the source of harm for you. What was that? Let's see. What was that about? Your breath.
That's Leslie managing her state and turning down her representation a little bit.
What would happen?
It's just intense here. I think this one has a lot of suffering. And there's another level that's aware this is not about me. This is about Kelly, and I want this to stay about Kelly. And so I'm just trying to kind of quarantine myself off a little bit. Like it's not Kelly's job to make this better over here. And it's also, if I get close, it's going to make it, so I'm just like, this role is self-managing and I want to say, Kelly, I'm taking care of myself.
That's exactly what my brothers always said in every other constellation.
Okay. Did you hear that, Leslie?
No.
So that's pretty much what my brother's message has been to me in all of my other constellations with him, is that he's at peace or he's not.
I am not at peace. This one is not at peace, for what it's worth. I don't think this is your brother. I need to say that now that you're kind of starting to snowball into something there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Then
for
it's
what
not.
it's worth.
Yeah.
It could be. I could be wrong.
No, I trust that. I mean, if you're, because he's gone. He's in a more peaceful place now.
Yeah, that's
I'm
segregating myself because I'm not at peace.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Serena, Kelly, what do you feel? What's going on for you right now here?
I can look at that one, but I'd rather look here. And we kind of turn to square off, I guess, face each other. I'm just kind of curious and watching, I guess.
And just by the way, the more I move away, this one doesn't look regressed to me anymore.
Yeah, I don't feel that I was looking at these dinosaur earrings, which earlier were making me want to skip around the playground. You know, it feels like it takes a lot of energy to be in that place, that happy place. I feel a little bit more relaxed right now, just present, not trying so hard to skip and play.
There's a part of the eating that's super self-destructive and semi-suicide. Like it's like passive suicidal. Like because it's like it's taking me to a place where I'm not. I don't have to deal. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And it's very self-destructive. So I don't know if that's what's going on over there or not.
Leslie, what do you think you are?
So, just so I can talk as Leslie. Who was the other one you were thinking about bringing in the beginning?
The mother. Mm-hmm.
And the minute there was that overdone gaze in the beginning, that's such an over-attentive mother, or helicoptering, or no boundaries, or something mother. You can have that with father sometimes, but not, and then it's usually sexual, right? So from the very beginning, I really felt like we were dealing with that projection onto food. Mm-hmm. And it resolved it a fair bit itself in a nice way. Mm-hmm. You were actually like, this is going very well. And then you brought in a companion, and then the ways in which it wasn't, mom wasn't addressed yet, popped up again. So I think I'm mom who's really aware that I need to do space. That's the experience over here. So I don't know to what degree that resonates for anybody else in the room. So I'll just
she's super worried about me and doesn't know what to do about it.
This is not present day.
And that's actually that makes more sense because she was super caught up in her own stuff when I was a kid and identifies her main role in life as a mother, but didn't really know how to be one, like present with her children. She was just happy with the babies kind of thing.
And just to name that's a kind of food, breast, needing more love. It's not the most uncommon identification with food.
Yeah, it's like that's what it feels like when you say,
sort of thing. So,
yeah.
So that you can just have food.
So
a really nice version of your mom is actually showing up here.
Yeah.
Not very well, but recognizing that you need space and me dealing with this, it's not yours.
Serena, Kelly, do you want to say to your mom, thank you for giving me space?
Well, I might have to change it a little because I didn't want that space before. Mm-hmm. Right. So.
I also really want to say you don't owe me anything, not even a thank you.
Thank you for my life.
I have so much love for you, and I want you to be well. And when you're looking at me this much, you can't be okay.
Hi.
Didn't mean anything like that exactly. But I can just really feel like how this.
Sorry.
I can't figure out how to stop being the center of your attention.
You are my mother,
You're my mother.
and I'm your daughter.
I'm your daughter.
That's a very useful correction. Thank you. Try something.
Okay.
It may not be the right move, but that was just the impulse.
Staring at those two paired little things, tree things.
What comes up to me is I see where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Can you find the right words for that?
It's I have something new to look at.
What about I'm ready to find my way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm shifting my focus to where I want to go and what I want. How's that? Mm-hmm. I mean, she's right. It is better if I don't staring at her. And I see her in my periphery.
Is there anything that comes up for you, mother?
I have a lot of crap here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not your crap.
Thanks. The tree.
Mm-hmm.
I have an amazingly wonderful shiny coat right here that's got my attention right now. I just, Leslie wouldn't, this is not her thing at all, but your mother is just like, woo, how can I steal this grace?
She's a good thing about me.
But
It's
Mhm.
attention. She doesn't want to be the center of my attention or something like that.
But that's
Go Kelly.
That's kind of bullshit, I think. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I don't know how not to.
Leslie's just going to invite you to say whatever you need to say, but with primary emotions rather than secondary ones.
Okay.
Her behavior is pulling attention all the time. And I can't resist it.
Say, thank you for being my mother. It's. Do you want to say that?
Thank you for being my mother.
It's time for you to take what yours and to carry what yours and leave me and make space for me to find my way. Complicated.
I forgot part of it. That's why I'm like, yeah, something space to choose that way.
Please take what is yours.
Ah, that's right. I feel like she's doing that in words.
But just say it.
Okay. Well, I'm telling her what to do. Okay. Okay.
If it
Thank
feels
you.
that.
Well,
Try it out and then you can see.
I'm just questioning if I'm going to be too big if I tell her what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So something is I do like looking at that. I do still see her in my periphery. So maybe we could have her move out of my periphery. Or I just go towards my life.
I think you still have to honor her before the way is clear for you to go.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought I did that more.
Oh, yeah.
More
Do you
honoring.
feel like that? So you don't see her anymore?
Well, I see her
Mhm.
because she's there. Like, I mean, she's in my peripheral vision. So if it's about her constantly being in my vision and I don't have space, then I would say I need to move towards what I want and get her out of my vision. Is that logical? I don't know.
How about Mom, if you are coming around and you're going behind? Try. And then you know people you can just turn around and you can say, thank you. And please bless me to go my way.
I see. I see what it cost you.
the sticky part over here, and I don't know if this is some previous entanglement or whatever, but I can't figure out a way to acknowledge her or do anything like bless her that doesn't, kind of like the way she was talking about food before, that doesn't gravitate her back into my stuff. So I'm just really trying to find, but it can't just all of a sudden become, ta-da, I'm happy, I'm okay. Right? So I'm just trying to just really, like, kind of, and I know that's, you know, that's not the best constellation move, but
What about if you would turn around and thank your mother?
you take chances as a facilitator. Right now, the pictures of killing you in 14 different ways are coming to my mind. I'm like, okay.
That was a difficult relationship.
Sorry. I will turn around.
Maybe
Oh, I
divine.
like the fan. I don't know what the fuck the fan is, but like, oh, I have a fan.
This one thing.
I just really want to say it's really bad over here, and it's the best I can do. And I am here. I'm part of your life. I'm your mother, and I am not going to be well. And I want you to be well anyway. I really want that for you. And I don't have a lot of good ways of figuring out how to do that for you. I really want wellness for you, 100%. And I'm really.
Could you step out of your representation and being a resource for your mom?
Please don't. And I want it to be okay that I am unwell, and that you be well. You may be disloyal to me in that way. I want you to be well. I don't want to have to be well for you to be well. I'm gonna stop about that because that sounds crazy.
That's actually what I've been thinking for myself. I don't want to have to lose weight and be well for you to like not worry about me.
Yes, I really don't think this is, I think the move for her is for me to be unwell and she can be well. And I wish you to be well. It feels, you know what it is? It feels really good when no one's trying to fix me and make me okay. For Kelly to be okay. I want Kelly to be great.
But I feel exactly like that when other people want me to be well.
Oh, we can share that.
No, Kevin, stop trying to make us well.
But mine's a double one. My double one is I don't want it to be have to be. I don't want to have to be well for you to be okay. And if you choose to not be okay, then I'm really sad about that. But just doesn't have to depend on me.
See that you're not okay. That you're not well. And it's hard for me to see that you are not well. Hard for me to see that you're not well.
Okay, so it's actually really important for me to realize I've been trying to not have you affected by that or see or whatever. And I'm realizing that's not fair. Of course it matters to be with a mom who's not well. Of course. Of course.
Not totally small.
And now I can move a step closer. Yeah.
I want to help you.
I know, you're such a good girl.
I don't want to leave you. I know. If maybe you can say, I'm the big one.
Oh, okay, that takes a little, it's in there, but it takes a second. Oh, that's helpful. I'm the big one, you're the little one. I can come closer. You know what it is, Kelly? It's I feel guilty, like my children are going to catch my disease.
Yeah. We kind of did.
But you see your primary feelings. Yeah.
What? How?
That we kind of did. Actually, no, you reached up. Right? Just remember the frame. Yeah. So just
yeah, we reached up.
Yeah,
We reached
yeah.
up. Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah,
the word
we
and the word
reached up
and the word disease is not correct. Right?
Yeah.
Can you just say, you are not here to fix me?
You can't fix me. But I know you want to.
You are the little one, and I'm the big one.
You're the little one, I'm the big one, and
Take full responsibility.
yeah. I'm ready to actually have that resource back there. Because I think to say it best to her, I may need to say it to my mom, because I think I was doing this, what she's doing with me, I did with her.
I felt that
Yeah.
before, you know.
Yeah. So just to turn around and be able to say,
Was not yours to do.
you couldn't fix my mom.
Why that was my job?
Okay, Mama.
Thank you. Bless you to go have your mom.
If you bless my daughter, it's tricky for her.
Happily. Granddaughter, I bless you to go live a happy, well, healthy, good life.
You tell her, try that even if I'm not well, even
Even if your mom is not well, you can be well.
Maybe say, you honor us in having a happy life.
Yeah. You honor us by having a happy, healthy, well life. Have a good life. A long one.
And sorry for the screwy women. We have some really heavy injuries that are not your responsibility.
We're carrying.
Yeah.
One thing, it really said something when Leslie reminded me that the child reaches up to take, and I can't keep that in my head. I keep thinking, no, this is my life, and this is what I got the help handed. So I don't know if it would help if Serena acknowledges that it was also like taking on out of love. Because I keep blaming other people instead of like recognizing that I actually took it on purpose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but every child wants to have parents, you know. It's not,
I think I can help. Just like, of course you did.
mm-hmm.
Of course you did. You tried. Of course you did. And I tried to get help from you. To do that. It would be great if you figured out how to belong to this family as the first fully well one.
Mm-hmm. Everyone insists on doing it.
And belong. And belong.
Yeah. You want to stand up? Do you want to stand with her maybe?
Okay. That's really kind of a rocking idea.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I felt
Can
really
I have you?
You want another one behind?
Only if you go.
Oh, absolutely do. I'm dying to. Not literally, metaphorically.
I'd like nothing better. Nothing better.
And in whatever way there is wellness here, you may reach for that. Because there's a little bit.
There is some.
Yeah, there's some.
There are threads.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to treat it like that. There's actually a lot.
They held it together.
There's some very deep, subtle wellness. I can feel.
Good to see you, granddaughter.
Good to see you, Grandma. It's good to understand you a little bit more, like we did earlier.
It does feel like there's several of these women. Like this is
Yeah.
not the first time this happened.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a little bit of daughters having to rescue mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I will try to honor you and have a better life, in having a better life.
I will try to honor you in having a better life. We'll try to honor you. I will try.
You have to try.
Just do it.
I will have a better life for my own sake.
Take the whole thing.
No, actually, this is Leslie, facilitator, and Anna, remember what the original outcome was? Just to have it a little bit better, a little bit of, yeah? She didn't say suddenly overnight, right? And I understand why people say this, because it puts on a lot of pressure, right? And she does want a little hope, right? So I'm really watching out for these Goldilocks endings where it's all perfect. It tends to lead to relapses. Too much pressure. Yeah, so find a sentence that honors that incremental piece for Kelly. Or you can do it, Anna, help her with it.
Yeah, I feel like I need a little help with that one. It's like I'll try, but it's also not. It's gonna happen.
I feel something.
Oh,
Space.
representative?
Yeah. Like I feel like I have space now.
Yeah.
Like I have a little more, like I can see better so I can make a better decision, more discerning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a sentence, thank you for the space.
Thank you for the space.
That feels good enough. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for the space.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay, so let's do a 10-minute break. We're not going to do the second constellation today because it's not realistic. So we should have gone first with you, Grace. Now it's obvious.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to move this around and put you on. Yeah, we really should have gone with you first, just because, just a guarantee.
Yeah.
Because we may have you doing both on Sunday now.
So you have not there the whole time. So, but you have something else in the morning.
I think it's okay if I facilitate first and then I'm a client rather than the other way around.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, that's the obvious way to go. Are you going to be gone all of Saturday?
No, I'll be here in the morning. I need to leave at like 12:30.
Oh, we'll have you do it on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were gone all Saturday. Okay, so 10-minute break, 5 after 5. Excellent. Somehow I don't know.
I think I was thinking I always did lecture in the morning and constellations in the afternoon, but I can do Saturday morning.
So, wait, you're not going to be here just when?
I'm leaving at 12:30 on Saturday.
Okay. So we'll figure this out. This is the problem. No, that doesn't work. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I changed my major like to be enough just interested in everything.
Smart enough to do it, yeah.
I'll just make my own code, like Lynch, and just write backwards. Right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? It's fine, I'll just do it that way. Right? That's how you survive in those times.
Yeah.
Bella, here's all those chips and crackers.
Oh, thank you.
Chocolate. How was that chocolate, Grace?
I peeled back enough to see it was a dark one, which I can't do dark ones.
Oh,
I want the. And was
I
yours
bought
a
a-
gold one?
This was the dark one.
I bought a box of chocolate chip pecan cookies that I was gonna share if anybody's interested.
Oh, peel another one, it's fine. Peel
Chocolate chip pecan.
I can get away
Pecan.
with milk.
Pecan. Pecan.
That's interesting.
Yep.
I know.
Would you like a dark one?
I like that.
I like dark. I'm gonna try one more. If it doesn't work,
I just washed my hands.
Oh, yeah, I just did. We all did. So. Just like, oh, this, that's all? Yeah.
Melissa, would you like some color dark? That's dark, right?
No, thank you. There are enough ones in here.
Well, I'm not that desperate. No.
Oh my god. She wanted me
I'm gonna take the whole thing.
No.
I opened this and am I gonna eat it?
No, thank you.
Would you like this?
No, thank you.
I'm gonna do this little snack, which I have peanut butter and pretzels if anybody wants.
Someone's gonna have to eat that.
Well, I think with stuff like that, it's not a bad thing to throw it away. Sometimes,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, it's like,
is it better? It's
delicious.
Our teeth.
Good idea. I react to
You're
certain
fine.
foods that sometimes I find really delicious and I'll eat it and get trouble in my brain.
Okay, so I've made some rearrangements here. I don't like how the schedule's ending up. But I don't feel any way around it, given people's various limitations. Grace has to do one on Saturday, Dinka has to be in the morning and Grace has to do one in the morning, so that's just either one or the other. And so if we put Grace over here, we have Serena and Judith on the same day. Because what I don't like is that we're having 3 constellations on the last day. That was a day I was hoping to have a little bit of room for more reflection and processing. But the reality is that we more or less end up with a day of constellations. And that's really, and I don't like that. I just don't like that. It feels really out of balance. But I can't figure out the math on this.
Maybe look at it later.
Well,
What if you're saying, okay, we're staying until 6:30 and then going for dinner?
well, it would be, what was it?
Me.
Grace, no, it was Grace doing Serena.
Doing you, yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
I need to eat a little bit, which I'm doing.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Those are,
Is
eating
tonight-
is accommodatable. Look at the dead has risen. And she's like, I'm not so sure about that. Oh, here are your notes, Anna. Well, I know why we can't. We have to start now, and it gives us no chance to reflect on what we just did.
I don't mind that.
Well, it's,
Or we can do it, yeah, we can reflect, it doesn't take very much time, and let's do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's fine.
yeah, it just gets
Well, yeah,
tricky to
okay.
keep chipping away at Fulker's time.
All right, okay. Or on
Um,
Saturday,
um,
it would take some.
so here are your notes.
Oh yeah, we're not doing any constellations tomorrow?
None of our student constellations.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think we need to do a quick going around. What did you notice that really, really worked? and a really fast I wonder. And we'll just all really acknowledge that opening setting stuff that you do, like if you all were new to constellations, this is what I would say, was awesome. And the nice thing is you said it anyway, and it was a reminder to all of us. I just want to acknowledge how much you've clearly given thought to that. What is the minimum of what I need to make sure people hear before we start a constellation, particularly people who haven't heard, who haven't experienced it before? And that's really worth taking time thinking about. So it doesn't prevent all misunderstandings from taking place, but it's helpful. Yeah. So Serena, something you really appreciated and something that leaves you wondering.
Oh man. I don't know. My brain's like shot.
We can pass.
Thank you.
Come back,
Yeah.
Judith. You were able to watch contemplatively,
Yeah,
or will you out?
I frequently did. I loved your introduction. It's just wonderful. I learned from it. Thank you. I was not sure where the constellation was going. It felt, I was not sure if it was going to come together, and then it was so amazingly powerful. And you seemed really calm and making good decisions. It was just wonderful to be a witness, and it was wonderful to get to come in as a support person.
Any I wonders? Like as a facilitator watching, thinking, I wonder if blah, blah, blah. And if you don't, that's fine.
Maybe go to Grace and I'm gonna see if I can find the
Okay.
words for what it is.
I really appreciated, even though you didn't do much of an interview there, as I've told you, I think you're so good at interviews. And even though you weren't doing you did an interview, but it was shorter. I felt there's a way you have of being present to everything and to give the feeling you know where you're going. I like that. And I wonder, I did have the splitting out of really Kelly's idea, but that kind of going with the splitting out of the parts of food. Since I was food, I'm just wondering about that. Like in some ways it ended up being fruitful and it was also super disorienting when it happened. So I got curious about the partway through splitting one thing into two things. So maybe what I'm really wondering is about that projection thing. Like, was there a way to do it about?
I want to say a word about that because it's a super common dynamic in constellations. It'll just keep coming up and up. In some sense, all of our symptoms are projections. They're an identification with something else. So it can be a useful thing to be on the lookout for, like, what is my depression representing? What is my lack of a partner representing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I felt completely like rapport. You like kept making sure that I was okay, which was great and very caring. And I felt like you got thrown into the deep end of like a lot of crazy with my email history. So, and the way you kind of just stayed calm and kept, okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try that. And then letting the representatives give you like feedback as to, does that feel right for you to say? That you were saying that was really wonderful too, because it was kind of like you were just letting the field do its job and really facilitate it. Excuse me. I felt two real shifts. The first time when it was like the playmate recognition, and you got that into those positions, like you gave that the space to come out, and that really, I felt that. And then the other shift came when like my mother was in the space where she could say, don't keep trying to fix me, you know, because there was just a lot. I mean, and I'm like appreciative that you kept going because my brain is like in 80 directions right now with how many things came up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Know what you want to say now?
No.
Okay.
I wonder was about the same thing. I couldn't tell what was going on when when you were brought in to be the other side of food.
Right.
It's like, well, who's who and
yeah.
So
okay.
But it ended up
in the place.
It ended up where it needed to go.
Yeah. So and I just think I'll be really pissed off if you don't keep doing this work. Just letting you know. I just think you're really on the right track with doing this work. You have a good feel for it and you have a good stance for it. Mm-hmm. And my guess is that you blossom even more into it when you don't have someone like me hanging around watching you. So you can be really free to make your own decisions. What I observed was really interesting. This is just Leslie, facilitator, watching and going. The first thing that showed up for me was Kelly and Mom. And it was, okay, so this is learning. If you're thinking about, should I put in this or this? And you choose this, the field may provide this for you. I have had this happen to me over and over and over again. I'm like, I don't want to deal with the brother. I'm going to bring in the father. And then someone falls down in the middle of the floor and all of a sudden the brother's there, right? So when you're starting to wonder about, because you said, I'm not sure it represents food anymore, right? Right? That's the place where you can remember, oh, I was thinking about bringing in Mom. I wonder if, so this is a tell for all of you, because we all have like bullpen roles we're thinking about bringing in. And my experience is that the field seems to respond to that. I've had it happen over and over again.
A little clarification. So you were saying it's not that the field actually brought in, even though the word said food, that I really was the mom. It was that, maybe you can
I'm going to say again, clarify a little bit. So, and this is what I said to Anna, because it will drive you nuts if you think that roles can transmogrify. Like that, now you're just in chaos. Roles can be anything, and then you're just lost. Is this Saturn? Is it the brother? Is it Yosemite Valley? It could be anything, right? So you want to really believe what you write on the cards or what role you give to people. However, as we've said, if there's an addiction, there's almost certainly a projection on it, right? It's representing something else in the system. If we're saying that something's an entanglement, it's representing something. It's the tragedy, the whatever. So Kelly was over here and her first thing was too much attention. I feel exposed. There was a slightly aggro thing that food was doing, a little, interestingly, hunger thing. And so there were two tells for me. One was that she was going to put in mother, and the second one is that is how certain mothers without good boundaries show up, right? Or even mothers who are kind of not there, but they're self-absorbed. And they're absorbing the child because they're self-absorbed. So different from all my attention on you kind of version of mother. So at any rate, I out of the bat saw mother, but it was also food. It was both. And what I was wanting to do was our classic projection, just so food, have someone come in and just say, whatever food's representing over here, food over here. So that Kelly could have an opportunity to go, oh, you're food, oh, you're probably mother. We got there. But so I'm sitting here going, I'm just going to let her figure it out. I'm not going to interfere. Just going to let it happen. And what happened was kind of a Sophie and Bert Hellinger self-facilitating constellation. Like you guys kept reporting out, and each time you said something honest and real, there was a shift. And then there was another shift. And it just kept upgrading. Like, Anna didn't even have to do it. She just had to let them do it. How are you doing? Oh, it felt better to say that. Oh, I've changed now that you've said that. And as you were doing that, the mother thing was just dropping out. And I thought, I am learning from the master. I mean, truly, there's a moment there where I'm going like, this is not, I would have futzed with the mother projection. Anna is not. This is better. It was really good. And we got to this place where you offered a sentence that you had to change, but it came out as something like, how was it?
You were there for me.
All that stuff was really, really important. And then it was something like, I'm ready for some new friends or more friends or different friends or something. It was something like that. No, move from companions was not a good word. That didn't resonate very well, but you changed it to friends and it felt good. And I'm like, holy shit, we're going to be done in about 5 minutes. Because it was, and then Anna made the crucial mistake. When she just wanted to put the icing on the cake. Yeah. And as soon as I came in as the potential friend, all of the things that were not yet resolved arose. And that's the thing. Every constellation is only part of the resolution. Yeah. But once she brought it in, she kind of had to deal with it. Now, she could have just said, holy shit, it was really good a moment ago. She didn't even ask for friends. She didn't sit there and say, I want more friends, right? I'm just, Leslie, could you sit down? And let's see if Food and Kelly could, like, no, this is great. And we could have left it right there. Now, we wouldn't have dealt with all the mom stuff, but I want Kelly to be reassured around the fact that the identifications there are very loose already. They would not have dropped out with so little, putting it up, getting the projection out, getting them different, just a little bit of both Food and Kelly saying what is and how it feels and being open to the next movement and staying in, well, there was that funny laughter thing. But once they got through that, but it wasn't, that was just in service to, there was just this constant weird secondary laughter thing. But you would let kind of another round of that would come through and then you'd get back into your primary feelings. And that would have been a perfectly acceptable piece of work all on its own. I'd like a few new friends. Okay, sounds good to me. Shall we in? Yes. And you would have been done. Now, the fact that we did part B is fine. And in fact, it's probably more than fine. It was just tricky because now we're dealing directly with mother and that's always harder. It's just always more work.
It's great when you say she didn't ask for that. Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
To be honest though, it was like the friendship thing felt like about here, like, here, but the mother thing like went really here.
Oh yeah, with part B, you had a fuller constellation. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And would that have been good? Yeah, so sometimes sometimes we do smaller constellations for people, particularly when we're dealing with big issues. And she said what? I just want a little hope. I just wanted to sometimes feel like it's not all the time. Right? So at any rate, and then we ended up doing it and it happened and it was great. And that's why the separation was messy. That's all.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So just remember this in your toolkits. So the first one is if you've thought of another role, the field may give it to you spontaneously. And number two, if I've got an identification, a projection going on, just try the separate out Food, whatever Food's representing, and see what happens. Okay? Yeah.
So I have a question. because I've heard you say as some sort of feedback for us, like that it's good to do the actual family and put in the family members
Right.
versus like the
Totally.
obscure stuff. So I guess when
And there are many exceptions.
so, okay, and so like, we did that, but like if that would have been the end before she brought you in, like if that would have been the end, would that have been as full of a constellation?
No, that what I'm saying is by having the part B, you had more, like she was saying, it was like fine, it was up here, this was down here, but it also would have been good on its own terms. I just really want to say that sometimes what we need is not the whole thing. I mean, also we know Kelly can take it on. Another client, they just need the foot in the door. If you try to do the whole family thing, they may shut down or something. So having some discernment about what's good enough, what's enough. And on my end, I just took a lot of, I got a lot of optimism on Kelly's behalf that just through saying what is, the identification dropped out of food. And for Kelly to see and feel that is not a small intervention. That's actually a pretty big deal. And if you do the bigger thing, you better be ready for it and have the time and da-da-da-da-da. Because if we ended in the middle of that, because we're out of time or whatever, there's a chance it's less useful than just having ended there. So kind of know where your stop points are. And then go, you know, if we take on another chunk, no, group's tired. Or we've only got 15 minutes left or whatever. Yeah. But once you're in it, you're kind of committed, because that got tricky for Kelly. I mean, Kelly was being very clear how unpleasant it was feeling, and not because anyone was doing anything wrong, but because we were dealing with unpleasant things. And so at that point, like, it had to be a pretty damn good resolution, because we had opened that door. Yeah, so if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's you know, something that I'm always we're all always asking, because starting out with Kelly and food, it's a structural constellation, right? It's not a family, explicitly a family constellation yet, because she was sitting here, should I put in Kelly and mom or Kelly and food? Kelly and mom is a more explicit family constellation. Kelly and food is more it's not as family oriented, but those can be incredibly powerful constellations. I really don't want to put this down. One of the biggest constellations in my life was when I raised my hand and I said, when I reach for work, when I reach for joy, I end up with obligation. And they put me, work, joy, and obligation, and no family references, and it was one of the earth-shaking constellations of my life, because some meanings got shifted around and it was available and blah, blah, blah. So yes, go for the family specific thing if you can, and there are gabillions of exceptions.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking,
which makes it an art again.
Yeah, because I mean, when we see the break,
and we're going to need to bring this to a close if we're going to try and do this today, but go for it.
That's fine. I mean, I was just saying, like, it makes sense when we did the first one this morning, when we could identify the break, because it's like, obviously, you know, there was the break in the lab, and so it just, I don't know, I guess I'm wondering, like, wouldn't you just want to bring in the parents? I guess that's kind of my question. And I see what. And again, it depends upon the space and the time, and you know, checking in with the client. You say, I'm thinking about bringing in their mother, and they go, oh, maybe they're not ready for that yet. How about you and food? That would be good, you know? So you're just reading and thinking, and how many skills do you have in the circle? And has she said food 25 million times? And so the word has a lot of meaning and power, and you're going to guess that the identification is going to come out anyway. And, you know, that's what makes it an art. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Grace and Serena, come on up. Yes.
Tomorrow, right? I can say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you already did.
No.
Sorry. Never mind.
No, for me, I'll say it really briefly, because what I noticed too was that at the end, the sentence and what you said was the space. I suggested that sentence, far before that. When
Oh,
you were
but it wasn't
still
ready.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there was
Wasn't
one other
true yet.
sentence that I, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there was one other sentence, so that I just for myself really need to, no, and the same when you were, I was thinking turning around and having your mom, you know, that when I was suggesting that before, and it just, and for me, it's really important, and it was really helpful to see, even go step in by step. So what is missing right now?
Right.
So that this goes there, and that was so obvious to see.
Yeah, the Constellation gives you the finger.
Yeah.
You know? But it's a good place to go. Don't care.
Yeah, but it was interesting that it just came out that way, the same way that in a way. So,
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love your noticing of that I made the offer to the system before it was ready. And then at the end, it was the same offer, but now it was ready. It's great. Beautiful. Yes. How are you feeling about doing it now?
I feel okay about doing it. I'm looking to you two about doing it now. I don't.
Because we just talked for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I guess what I'm thinking is we would be going for one of those simpler, like not the most complex thing in the world, since we're gonna have like 45 minutes or something, right?
well, we make it an hour. So how are you feeling, Serena?
Oh, I'm getting triggered because I'm like, look, there's not enough time.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Is there anybody from this list who would like to do a constellation now? Receive one.
Receive one.
Receive one.
So, but then I would need to know about what.
You feel like constellating me? You want more time? I didn't give you a thing.
I mean, whatever, I don't need it. We'll go. Sure.
Yeah, we can't do it now.
Yeah.
I just feel the energy in the room. We can't do it. I mean, there was a choice there. If we'd started at 5, we could have done it and met the parameters, but that would have been not giving Anna something she deserves and worked hard for. So we just have to figure it out. If we can go a half hour long, however, Anna could do her group exercise. Because that was something that was planned for today, but we also ran out of room for.
It'll be planned in the morning for today.
So would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. And we get the hour for it. You get the throne, and I will move over. I'm not in the way of the camera.
No, you're not.
Or I'll just sit in on a seat, a comfy seat.
Okay, so there is not. I'm sitting in this chair.
Yeah.
I just like came out of my own reason.
Okay, so
Yay on everybody! And now you get your wishes like you got it all done the first day.
yes, true. Some of you already were in the when I was suggesting to do this. How do you say that about this? Like try out, or the about myself and my past life that has the most influence of my present life. So we did it once, because when I was suggesting or asking you if that would be okay to do today, we did one. But I think for you, Grace, I talked to you that it would be okay to do it again. Yeah. And I think it would be nice. I think it doesn't need to very much. I don't think that I can be part of one group. Is that okay with you? Because I was thinking even that we have 2 people to represent, and one actually we need to look what is going on. So that would mean that I would be in one group.
I think that's okay. I think we can figure it out. Particularly if we're separate, then you can help facilitate on one, and I can be available. anything goes wacky, which nothing will because it's late in the day. Only really nice past lives.
Okay, so then everybody would have 10 minutes.
Okay.
And
So if it's your constellation, you're watching you and the past life that's most relevant to your life. That's what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay.
okay.
Do we have
Do you want me to
know
set
what
a
the past
timer?
life is?
No. No, it's just the past life that is most relevant to your present life.
Anna, do you want me to set a timer? Does that help or
Yeah,
not?
but I can do. I'm wondering if we are going to like 8 minutes or so we have 2 minutes just to talk about it.
Oh, in
So how we
between?
are.
You mean in between ones?
Uh-huh.
Because we'll talk a little bit afterwards. I mean, no matter what, you 8 or 10 minutes, we're going to be out of here by 6:30.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Unless somebody's got a final ritual that goes on for hours, which,
I was supposed to do the final ritual. I was gonna do a resource altar, and you did it this morning.
oh, okay.
I was gonna do literally almost exactly that same thing.
But not exactly the same, so it's going to be different.
Okay.
So that's fine.
But I think okay afterwards if we have like 2 minutes, just so
In between.
for the third, also for the person that gets the constellation, just to be able to have the chance to ask one question. Okie dokie. So who's going first here?
I'll be a past life.
No, I think.
How does it work?
Do you? Who
I'll
wants
go
to-
first.
Are we doing
Yeah.
two small groups?
Okay, and
Two
then
small
she can
groups.
choose.
I can choose.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Although it would be nice that everyone gets a chance to be a
Yeah,
this life.
yeah.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
So I will start out with you are me, and you are the most relevant past life to my life now.
You are watching, yeah, genau, and we are. Okay, time starts now. The 8 minutes.
I'm not that curious about you.
The other's past
No.
life.
I want to give you a big hug.
One of you is your present life, and one of you is
I'm uncertain about you.
past life that has most influence of your present life.
Like I'm really curious out of the corner of my eye, but not hug. Curious.
Does this help?
Will you be me? Will you be the past life that has the most influence?
Not really?
Yes.
It's uncomfortable. It's more like past life.
What? Do you exist? Is that what are you questioning my existence?
I don't know. I don't
pretty
know.
here.
You seem pretty here.
I'm pretty here.
For just a moment, can you just notice your experience?
Not of each other.
Right, not just of Leslie, but just what's your experience over there? Oh, and that feels better already.
Yeah. She was like in my space, I felt.
Yeah, it was a little, yeah. Maybe look around you and just see what happens.
I like that place. That quiet place.
Mm.
I feel,
Yeah. And I like kind of
I
Just
enjoy
wondering.
the connection.
You're
I enjoy
the
the
connection.
connection. I feel the connection, and
I'm
I want to
able to be
there, but
slightly
I'm
more,
also letting go.
maybe not
I don't
actively
wanna be,
curious, but like open to being curious about you
I
now
don't want to be like
that you're in your own space.
holding on to her.
If there's gonna be any
If you
curiosity
want to.
here, I would like to become curious to explore you,
whatever.
not have you
If you want.
exploring me.
I think that's kind of why I was thinking of sitting on the ground like cross-legged or
No,
no, almost like a meditative
You
pose.
know, that's why I'm turning
I'm
around.
gonna try that.
Right.
Well, actually,
I'm
before you do
available.
that,
Yep.
could you just do me a favor and look at what Scott, that one's interesting?
Wow.
And see what happens to you? Just interesting.
Can I
to
see
keep
what would happen
closer
if you hold
to the
Mhm.
past life.
Right, because I want to move.
I see a
Go
nature
ahead,
setting,
go
and
ahead.
I like nature. Nature's also something that I like. I guess what happened is, I'm like,
I
well,
wanna know
maybe
what
we have a
you
little something in common. Maybe. like slightly
How do you
more,
influence me? How do you influence me?
maybe we're related a little bit.
I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling very supportive.
Anything else as you look at that?
Okay. Just a supportive answer.
It's feeling a little
Wait,
dreamlike,
pass leg.
but like I like the quietness of
I
it,
know, I'm like,
No,
my
you can
meaning?
just,
and
I wouldn't think, just say what you feel.
it like has everything in it. It's interesting.
I like
to
it
me.
better
It's
than
like
not moving.
there's water,
It's still
there's
safer
field,
too.
there's trees, there's hills. It looks like there's even a little sand, maybe. I just
I mean, nice that
it feels like a good place to exist, to stay in life. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I trust you a little bit more hearing that, because I'm like, okay, I'm understanding a little more about you.
What do you see?
The word monastic is kind of coming
When you
into
look
my
at me.
mind.
You wanted to meditate.
I
And
wanted
now
to,
she's going like this.
I see.
you know, what is this?
That's a benediction.
Oh, it is?
Somewhere I feel like I've seen that, isn't it?
I think it's a number of
Your
religious
voice.
traditions. It's a
Yeah.
mudra, isn't it? As
Yeah, it's
well?
also a mudra.
Oh, yeah. It feels
Probably
good
a
to
sign
do
in
it.
sign language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it does feel like,
You don't understand why I worry?
yeah.
Something Dr. Strange does too.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting into the reality of it all.
But I'm just,
So I don't know. Should I
I'm so free.
sit?
Well, I feel better about you now that you
Okay.
showed me a little bit of yourself.
Okay.
But if you want to sit, if you're thinking I want to
So,
get all
how do
meditative
you
or something.
I kind of do.
Mhm.
I would like to.
Think about being smaller.
No.
Mhm.
Not at all, actually.
Well,
I want
I
to do
mean,
this
I'm
again.
feeling like I don't know.
What do you want?
I wanna
I'm
do
trying
this
figure out what
again.
you're about
Do it.
and why you're here, kind of a thing. Like I don't know how we're connected. And you're telling me that we are connected and that feels good and that just,
Well, I like feeling you there.
that makes me feel better. But yeah, I guess I'm like not very trusting. Okay, well, what do you want to do?
I'm feeling like I'd like even more of this influence on me. Sort of like if you're having the strongest influence on this life, I like that influence.
I feel like I'm a resource you can tap.
Yeah, you're so
Like,
scary.
you don't have to be me. I can just give you.
I'm happy about that.
Okay.
So just in terms of my own curiosity, because I tend to assume that it's by relevant we mean the one that's running some of the difficulties.
Causing them, you mean?
Running behind them, motivated by.
Ah, okay.
You know, if I murdered 100 people in my past life, that's why I still feel guilty, or you know, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So is there any downside to this? Is there any loss? Is there any way it went weird, or a way you couldn't have this, or something like anything? Any downside to it?
I'm pretty alone, and it feels like this is kind of, I need the isolation for the quiet to be able to tap into this source.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
I noticed you even close your eyes when you're talking about all that. I felt like you went off by yourself.
Yeah, I feel better with my eyes closed.
I feel that you can ask me.
Hmm.
There is nothing specific that
But there's nothing specific.
I feel strong.
So could you just try the sentence in case it's relevant? Just something like, you can have all of this without being this alone. Or I don't know if that's the right sentence. Or this.
You can have all of this without being alone.
You need just to
You can have all of this without being alone.
Does that feel true?
Yeah. And this is more like this inner peace, and
all of your strength without needing to understand.
And something about the nature too,
Right.
you know,
I can,
like those fields and the air,
I can have you
Mhm.
straight.
the outdoors, the
I can
quiet.
have you straight reflect on me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
I wanted to understand
Mhm.
to receive.
How's that for you to hear and then we bring it to
Yeah,
Minutes
that feels
for
good.
questions?
Yeah. I was suddenly feeling a little blending, like, oh, I know what that feels like. Like,
I don't have to understand
The water running and
Well,
Yeah, when
that's
you-
the presupposition that
that
this
feels
is
better.
yeah.
an entanglement.
Oh, listen, it's supposed to be an entanglement?
understand your support, but I don't understand.
Yeah, because
That's
if
the
it's a
understanding
relationship.
behind the original, yeah, like,
Okay,
like
good.
the unresolved quality of this
Yeah,
past
because
life
you don't
is
need
being
to
worked
worry.
out in this
Mm.
one
Mm.
in a way
We
that's
did it on
maybe
our-
not necessary.
When we did it on our study group, it was almost all resources.
How interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't really, it was like all good resources.
Thank you for your
Like everybody,
support.
I'm the one who was part of it, and I expected something that was going to be really hard, and it was super sweet. So maybe we're biased by that too.
No, big time.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's
Thank you.
nice to know that
Yeah.
Oh,
Want to just
I
like
that.
rotate
Yeah.
clockwise?
Oh, Leslie's falling asleep now.
So that means I'm a client.
Oh, sort of in this way, sorry.
The other clock.
Yeah.
Right.
So I am you, Grace?
Yeah, so you're me and you're my past life. That's most
Yeah.
relevant.
I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like you're really channeling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Switch.
Wow. Okay.
Are you okay? Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I think so.
Which one are you gonna
One was having before. I think
You
we kind of-
just? So I should sit here.
Okay.
Okay.
So how am I?
What's it
so
like?
you wanna,
It's like
tell me that.
just your
I
experience.
think it would be good for me to switch so that.
So I'm
everybody-
struggling to
Okay,
pay more
you're-
attention on this version of you
So,
than
but
that
it's
version
still
of
good
you.
You say you
Oh.
are.
Would you represent me? Would you represent my?
Yes.
There's something about
Well, I'm
getting
not- I don't know how I feel about
perpendicular
past lives, so I'm
or
worried about the meaning that in me that's
can't-
going to show up. So that's why I'm like,
the architecture here
supportive
isn't quite right yet.
influence.
A supportive
I'll,
influence.
that's
Okay.
okay.
But to me, you feel more like
Well,
you
tell me-
than
you
the
just tell me.
representative
Well, I don't
feels
know.
like you. I'm
You're my supportive,
like I'm trying to figure out what my relationship to this one is.
otherworldly.
She's pushing me out of feeling like Grace. Actually, I'm kind of I'm like, I really want to focus on
You
that
can also say,
beautiful
like, maybe it's
rainbow.
Oh my God! Look at the purple sky, by the way.
Oh.
Holy shite! Everyone, look out the windows at the purple sky.
Oh, I know. I was
Sorry.
Yay, purple sky.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sunset pause.
That's nice.
Well, that's helpful.
I don't know
Looking
if
at
I
the
believe in past
mandala.
lives. That's what I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
okay.
So I'm like, this is a hard. So me
Yeah,
having this work, I don't know
I
if this is
understand.
going to work for my meaning that I.
Okay.
I'm more like
So-
I'm
consciousness,
feeling
Support
kind of
from
like
your past experience.
Okay.
Support from
I'm feeling pretty good.
Another.
ancestors.
Not solid, but like
Yeah,
grounded.
sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
she felt kind of just consternated, and then that made me consternated.
Mm-hmm.
The colors here and the colors out there feel relevant.
Oh, it's really beautiful out there. That light just hitting the building.
I feel a little childlike and a little
I hate to say
like
what
able
son
to
was
get
in
really
reality
hyper
between you and
focused and like,
Chips.
ooh,
It's between you and Chips.
I feel like wow.
I know, and I have both.
Like I suddenly was aware you
I'm
were kind
okay if you
of
have
trapped
both.
in a corner.
I don't feel trapped. Except like in a good way by this.
You don't have to choose.
How's this for you
I'm
so
here
far?
with the Chips.
That native shaman I was with in Shasta kept telling me, your field is all violet light. So I was a little distracted by that. That you clued in on that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm still wondering if this is the one life that's most relevant to my current life. I'm still wondering what the connection is.
Yeah, you don't have to choose, you get both.
Like almost like.
I want to dive in.
like it.
Yeah.
More like you said.
Did you dive
some
in?
ships as well? It's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
like that you like ships. And I like
It's
ships.
just the experience, like I just can't get that close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you the chips. Oh my god.
I don't feel that. I definitely don't feel that.
One other way?
What's it like?
No.
I feel.
No, I'm really
I
happy
feel
that
pretty
we have
calm.
something.
I feel like I'm almost in opposition to this one because she's really feeling anxious, nervous,
Not anxious
Yeah.
or nervous.
but you're tapping
Yeah.
so good.
It's not, I don't know what that is, but it's not anxious or
I
nervous.
also like
Okay.
to skate.
It's more little kid,
Yeah.
like when the mother says, stop banging
Yeah.
things! And you're like, no, it's a good noise. I feel quite young. I don't know if it's a relevant life in which
It's nice.
the most important part of that life was when you were young,
What else do you like?
maybe
I
died
like
young
it
or whatever,
outside.
but there's something that feels
love
like
to be
some,
in nature.
like, you know what I feel a little bit
I
like?
love animals.
Is a savant.
Oh.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, that's all. It's
Yeah.
like almost Asperger's-y.
But really, like, there's something, like, I came into some precocious brilliance
Right. In one
really,
but
really,
Yeah.
really fast, like a
Really
Mozart
fast.
kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, like you
Um,
recognize the
like
light right away.
And I feel.
But maybe Asperger, because
I feel
connecting
the
with
river
people is
flowing.
not super interesting.
Through it to you.
Like I don't know what to do with
You
her
know, I feel much more
or how if I'm supposed to.
I'm more
And what I want, the communication I want to have for her is for everybody, like to the world. It's like there's nothing
I
wrong
like
with
that we
me.
both like
Yeah.
Nothing you gotta fix. Person I can't see or feel.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel or
Yeah.
really feel anybody.
Yeah.
But I feel this and I hear the noise.
Mm.
And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with this.
Yeah.
So the classic
I like your heart.
differently abled.
Mhm.
But it does mean that the world didn't get me.
Yeah. That's a really resonant, character thing. Like nobody gets me.
You can ask me
And it's
anything you
important.
want.
It's sweet.
Mhm.
You can always
It's so
ask me
funny.
something.
Because from this angle, it looks like you just unstraightened.
No, see, I'm close. See, this one understands that's the optical effects and perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Wow, you are really smart.
I'm very smart.
You're really smart.
You know what? Now I connect. You said I was really smart.
You're very smart. And I'm not sure anything's wrong with you. It's more like, what can I be here for you?
Nope, stop. I'm not interested.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
You're
fine.
just really smart. You've got
There
some
we
good
go.
insights.
Yeah.
I like your insights. I like hearing what you're
That's
thinking.
all I want. Is for someone to notice I'm really smart because I am. I'm like I'm probably to some of this life suffering.
Yeah.
I'm probably smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
But of course, in terms of this, not smart at all.
Yeah.
But
So you want to
Really
be
smart.
seen in your smartness.
I want it,
Is there anything about what you know that you'd like to have shared?
oh, it's colors,
Colors. Okay, colors. Got it.
colors, shapes,
Yeah.
designs,
Pattern, maybe.
patterns.
You know
It is. It's. The rest of humans don't let themselves be delighted by those things.
Mm.
They walk by them and they don't notice them and they don't care about them and they don't value them.
Yeah.
To their true value, you mean? Like there's such an intrinsic value.
Duh.
Ah, yeah.
How could
boy.
you not see?
Look at that.
I got shit to take care of, man. What are you talking about? I can't just get lost in looking at this random shape.
And that's exactly my suffering. That's the response.
Yeah.
Like that's just a random shape, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, the inherent value of this is so clear to me. Or that sky, which is now turning dark indigo.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't done 8 minutes yet.
Did you start it?
We haven't?
We're singing Anna's thing, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 8 minutes are over.
She's not calling us on our time?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was such a fun roll. Oh,
It really
my God.
suited.
Well, and I have to say, I don't actually like this about autistic people, but people, you know, your teacher said you have this violet glow. What's another word for that? Indigo.
Indigo, yeah.
So the whole indigo child
Right.
sort of thing. I don't like that stuff, but it's another sort of wordplay thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a light in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Next 8 minutes.
You're my
starting.
past life most relevant to me, and you're me.
So
Should I sit? Is that
you
how
don't have to.
start?
I liked that as a client because it took me out of it a
Yeah.
little bit.
can you represent
My past life is really fashion put together. I just really gotta say this green floral thing she's got going is yeah.
How do you feel, past life?
I liked that. I guess I feel a little bit, I don't know, coy or something. Like I kind of want to be close, but not directly, but I like to be flattered. But I'm also a little self-conscious about being looked at.
Which is interesting because I have no desire to flatter you. I just admire how put together you are, or seem, or just in terms of color and clothing and whatnot. And I think that's worthy of being admired on its own merits. And I like it.
I liked that. I'm wondering if this is a little bit of a fade through from the last experience we just had, but
We might have been put together for a reason as well.
yeah. But it feels I like being appreciated for my eye for beauty, because beauty matters.
Was it noticing that?
The beauty really matters, not like to be socially accepted. Like this flattery was almost a contrast, but just beauty as expression matters. I think that's why I'm facing this way too. I sort of feel like I have my eye on, you know, environments and the horizon. Like an eye for beauty and expression.
You're beautiful.
Yikes. That feels like, I have some big hang up there. It's more like, it's all beautiful.
really
Everything's
interesting.
beautiful.
Because my
Don't look
guess
at
over
me.
here inside of Kelly was that what I liked about this life was that someone who was able to own her beauty.
Mm.
And to hear the opposite of that is really surprising for me.
It feels like it elicited a longing and a shame's maybe too strong a word, but a longing and a self-consciousness. Like it's such an appreciation for beauty, and I see so much beauty everywhere, that I feel like that's the right and good way, is to see beauty and everything and express beauty all the time. And I'm not sure I'm living up to my own longings in that. It doesn't feel really shameful. It just feels like I see so much potential and so much capacity, and it's like almost nothing's ever really fully there, but I have such appreciation for it. It's such an eye for beauty and value.
It feels like I don't have to try hard.
How do you feel about yourself? Do you apply that to yourself?
When she said, "You're beautiful," it's not poor self-esteem. It's more like, I see so much beauty. Like you can't possibly see everything. This might be the bleed through. Like you can't possibly see everything I see. So it's not judgment like I feel bad about myself. It's just like, Like there's so much more than this. There's so much beauty.
Do you not trust her judgment or her ability to perceive beauty? Does she have the ability to perceive beauty?
I don't think it's personal to you. It's just like beauty isn't seen. This feels a lot really related. Like beauty isn't seen. There's so much beauty. Like why can't you see beauty? Why can't everyone see how beautiful it is? Maybe that was the "you're beautiful." Let me get back in that "you're beautiful." Because I was like, I feel like it's so much bigger. Beauty is so much bigger than we can see, than the physical
That toy that you
appearance.
over and it pops
And like I
up.
sense it with my whole body, with my
Come right back
heart,
up. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all of my being just, you know, just like drinks in and sings with beauty. And there's no way to express it.
Kim,
So I'm going to put it a different way, because
Like a toy that can.
I don't disagree with anything you said, but it's not what's got my attention. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go.
opens.
In a prior life, I was really beautiful.
Just does.
But you don't want her to know that?
Apparently that it's not what's important to her. So that's cool. But for me, I kind of like saying it.
That's how things are.
Yeah.
Is she,
We open and then close for a little bit.
is she, does she not want to get things because she's beautiful?
What I'm hearing is that my delight in seeing that I was beautiful in a prior life is not her issue.
Okay.
Makes me think of who.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's not my issue.
That's not what's going on.
For her.
For me.
But for me, it feels really nice.
Yeah.
Well, you are beautiful in a prior life.
Okay.
That makes me happy.
That's good.
I don't know what else. I mean, this does not seem to be landing correctly. I don't know.
I can see what is happening there. I'm like all for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that focus over there. Like my focus is just like dancing around, like beauty, beauty. Look at all the beauty. You know, like,
Is this one beautiful?
yes.
Because everything's
beautiful.
Everything is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the cringe was the kind of you're beautiful. I could feel where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And I was like, not that.
Is it kind of like because she was trying to validate you being beautiful because that was part of her?
That is how I was taking it. It was kind of like, that's not the point. Look at all the beauty.
Oh, do we want to be beautiful?
So, hold on a second. Let me just feel this for a second. And don't try to make too much sense out of it. Be careful of that.
It's an actual song.
There's something in here that I want to get.
The thing that's coming to me is there's something about maybe a thing I'm living for is there aren't categories of beautiful and not beautiful. It's just beauty is everything. Like life is beauty. You are beauty. I am beauty. It's all like there's no not beauty.
I feel like this is just like the sun, and I have to expose myself to this meaning because
Is there a country?
Oh. Well, she was going Hawaiian.
it feels like a whole nother level of perception.
Where I come from is belly dancing, personally. So I'm just doing these movements. I was thinking about.
Because your hands.
Because you're right, I am a little focused on what is and isn't beautiful. Not in any to judge what isn't beautiful. It's not about that, but I'm like, oh, that's especially beautiful. That's kind of, I wouldn't call the webcam beautiful.
Yeah.
Or that thing there, or the ceiling tiles. So it's true, they've got a labeling thing. And I perceive you as not.
Feels more
And
like
that's-
ecstatic.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I kind of just want to like expose myself to that
Yeah.
and see what influence that has on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Okay.
very much, yeah.
So I just want to
Yeah,
say, like, thank you for a for showing me I have a distinction that I took for granted and didn't understand might not be a distinction.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, good.
There's a way of looking at things. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yay.
Excellent.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, leave on there so we can talk about it. So yeah, I understand if there's some, I mean, it's logical, given the last residency, if there's some overlap in what we did this morning and what you want to do this evening. But if it's not the same,
Well, I
It's
just quickly in my head made it different, more
there you
different.
go.
So
There you go.
it's still gonna be a resource thing.
So Anna, sit in your chair again, just so we can.
Appreciate.
So how would you like to bring this to a close? Would you like to open some discussion or questions or,
Anybody who wants to.
and we've got until
Share something?
about a quarter after, it doesn't, we don't need to talk that long, but that's
Yeah.
what we have to.
Does anybody wants to share something?
I felt it was, when I was representing, it felt really clear, like what I wasn't feeling, which was nice.
In each of those.
Yeah. In the role of the other person and the role of the past life. And the interaction was always definitely interested, like revealing something pertinent, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was struck by, for past lives that have the most influence on this one, they weren't really that like heavily engaged for the most part with the current rep, and they had resource in them. Like
Yeah.
the ones we saw, they had resource.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think if we named it, if I think about it, I think Gary Stewart, what he did was think of a problem, and then we'll set up the lifetime that's most relevant to that problem. So it predetermines what's going to happen. And that's I mean, either format is fine. So because I'm used to past lives going, yes, I was slaughtered by the Huns, or, I murdered a village, or, I was caught by the Inquisition. Whereas these were all quite lovely. So it's different. It's nice.
They were much more, my experience was they were very, very personal.
Yeah.
Very personable and personal, very offering themselves as resources and mirroring that which needed to be seen.
Yeah.
Serena, do you want to?
Well, I kind of wanted to ask a question about what came up for me about the past life thing. Is this an okay time to do that, or should I hold it? Okay. So when it was mine, I was like, well, I don't know if I totally believe in past lives. Is that going to mess up the meaning, right?
That came up immediately in mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we kind of set it into something that I can be okay with, and so then I was like, all right.
I mean,
just
the way
curious.
I think this is Leslie's metaphysics, is that all religions are metaphors. There's snapshots. We have a barn, and you can only see it from one angle, and none of us sees the whole thing, and none of us know what the whole thing is. And is past lives sometimes a really useful metaphor? Yeah. And I can work with that. Do I know that there are literally past lives? This is past my pay grade, you know, but it seems to be something that's useful sometimes. Is that helpful? And then you can just say, let's set up a metaphorical past life. And then the field will do with it what it will do with it. Yeah. I mean, I can set up Vishnu, who never existed. It's you know, it's a human created God. And believe me, the role will have enormous content, right? Meaningful, relevant, accurate. Field doesn't worry about this. It doesn't have a problem with it. Now, if you plop someone down in the middle of a past life constellation and they have an intense personal aversion to this framework, then number one, they wouldn't sign up for it in the first place. But number two, if for whatever reason you thought you wanted to say, well, that sounds like it's a past life, and they go, oh, and you just go, no, never mind, right? Because you don't impose a metaphysics on somebody. If you're in a space where you're trying stuff on, and it's no harm. Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question kind of this too. Yeah. So if you're asked him to represent something like a past life, then it's also, so if my personal opinion about that is even that I don't believe it. And so it's just something that you get like the label on, but then you just feel it into your body, and you don't need, you can just switch off your mind without giving it any
The other thing is, I mean, remember what I've said before, we don't do this much here because we're all kind of game, but it is worthy of remembering every once in a while, is it in order for me to represent this thing now? To represent Anna's mother or whatever, to do a little extra check. Because there are times when you probably should say, you know what, I don't think I should represent your dad tonight. And you don't even need to know why. You just have a sort of a sense of, maybe not tonight. So if you have a real sense of, I probably shouldn't represent your past life, then be in alignment, be in integrity about that. It will help the client. We don't do that kind of self-checking very often because we're game, we're in, we're, but it's worth having that available. Because as a facilitator, where that shows up is every once in a while going down some road or something, and then, I mean, we had it with your husband, and I was checking, like, should I represent his mother? No. Not only should I not represent her, but it's not in order to constellate her right now. Right? So you'll have moments where you're like, you know what? I'm sorry, but we're not going to look at this part of your family. I'm getting a big no from the field about that. And they may go, well, but no, I'm sorry, but I'll explain myself later or whatever. But to have that is it in order reference. And don't, if you can't get it wrong, it's okay, but at least be willing to have that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
How was it for you? What did you learn and notice?
A lot of what Grace was saying, and we saw really that it was so light, that it was much lighter than expected, like not so, I want to be in the present, I have to be there, kind of, sondern more like to be available when I was representing, and seeing the representation for me was just very nice to watch. It made me feel good.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Speak for the rest of the report.
I know. So, Judith, I have a question for you, which is that the other two people are you and Dinka who are doing this, and I can't poke Dinka. Is there any chance you might be able to do an exercise tomorrow? Great. Thank you very much. Like after lunch.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. Grace, we're in your hands.
I need some little, can we?
Yeah, the box is right over there. Or cards?
Cards.
You need cards. Yeah.
We just need one for everybody.
Okay.
I actually had designed a ritual almost identical to what Leslie did. So this is a quick reconfigure, also focused on resources. So
Can we, for our final thing, just circle in
Yeah.
just a little bit? Unless you need a lot of space in the middle. I'm sorry.
I mean, we will eventually want middle space.
Yeah, that's fine. Just enough so that we're a circle rather than, I don't know, an audience.
So just take a minute. It's been such a full day. Just like
No kidding. Holy cow.
yeah, just let yourself settle in all the thoughts and experiences. Just feel them dropping down, all the way down to your feet, and then poof, out the bottom. As blank a slate as you can get. And just allow yourself to become aware of a resource, a general kind of category of resource. Might be something like rivers, or children, or laughter. Just something that feels regenerating and resourcing to you. And when you have it, just write it on the card. We're just going to take a quick spin like Leslie's had us do before, of stepping into 7 different kinds of 6. Or many
So a circle?
Yeah, circle. Oh, sorry. When you have it, just give us a chance to regenerate at the end of the day with the field of several different kinds of resource to take with us to dinner. So starting out in the one that's yours.
And could we all just say ours in case we can't read
Yeah,
each
that's
other's?
smart. Yeah. You want to
What is it? You know,
You want to start?
prayer,
Goodwill.
Music.
water,
Love.
Green of the forest, which is
Life.
chlorophyll.
all right.
Yeah. So let's just take a moment on our own. Let the energy of your resource fill your whole body. Just feel what that flavor is. Let it go wherever it's needed. You don't have to direct it, it'll just go there. And when you're saturated with that resource, you can open your eyes and look at all the other saturated people. Okay. And then let's all step 1 to the right. Let this one go where it's needed. It might be somewhere different. It might be the same. Just like a sponge. Just drinking it up. And notice it might create something different in you. And when you're saturated with this one, open your eyes. Good. Let's go 1 to the right. drill. Each one fills you in its own way. Opening your eyes when you're saturated. And moving one to the right. Noting when you're saturated. Seeing these spaces getting more and more saturated with resources. Especially noticing any place in you that hasn't quite got everything it needs yet. And knowing that the awareness of that call is answered in that instant. Resources love to go where there's a call. Noticing when you're saturated. Noticing the special flavor this one has.
Water, thank you.
One more. With our hands in the center, receiving all those resources we may not even know how to name, but from that infinite pool of help and support and care, we receive all that we need. And when you're ready, you can allow yourself to finish in whatever is a silent gesture of appreciation and gratitude for you. It's good to be filled up again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we take
You
our
can take it
own
if you
or?
want.
I think I said that.
No, I got rid of it.
Okay.
It's over there.
Okay,
I'm not that
so
anymore.
you can end that recording. Does everyone know where Zyklon